Well, it seems a bit strange doing an introduction to the walk along Middlewood Way for Wordless Low. Well, the truth of the matter is that I couldn't get back to Middlewood Way, complete the introduction, so I've come up with a note to do it. And the interesting thing is, behind me, you can actually more or less see from Wordless Low the walk I'm going to do. I really meant to create a video from the film clips I shot. It was just by pure accident I did it. I had a number of film clips. I looked through them and I thought, well, maybe I can create a video from this, the walk along the Middle Way. And I'm going to include some history as well and some of the old photographs of the very few photographs I took down there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Got any comments, leave them below, and thank you for watching. Well, we've arrived at Rosal Station car park. Rosal Station's had a bit of a checkered history, and in a minute we'll go onto the platform and we'll take a look at how it looks now. But for those who's interested, this is what it used to look like in the past. Well, this is Rosal Station as it is today, and if I pan over to my right, you can see all the overgrown trees. That's where the platform used to be. That took you on the train down to High Lane, Poynton and onto Macclesfield. If I move the camera all the way around, you can now see where the line used to run and where it now stops. So that's the station today. It's still in use, very popular station, very well looked after as well by the Friends of the Road still. Got a great station master, Tony. Tony's absolutely brilliant, dead friendly, very talkative, full of history, and a great guy to talk to. But there we go, that's the station today. This is the view in summer 2023 from the bridge overlooking the station. But this is how it used to be. Rosal Marple Railway Station opened on the 2nd of August 1969. You can see the first bridge after the station that will feature in the next part of this film. You can also see the tall chimney of the Brickworks established at Rosal Station sometime after 1895. This map of 1885 clearly shows the site that would eventually become the Klondike Brickworks. This photograph must have been taken sometime after 1969, as the section between Rosal Marple and Macclesfield was closed under the beaching cuts. This final picture shows the track completely removed, but the platform that would have taken passengers to Macclesfield is still intact. So with that brief history, let's get on with the walk. Okay, it's about 7:10 in the morning, and here we are right at the start of Middlewood Way. Rosal Station's just behind me, and this is the start. So I'm going to kick off, get walking, and I reckon it's going to take me about 2 hours, just under 3 hours to do the whole walk there and back. I'm not doing the full walk from Rosal Station to Macclesfield. I'm only walking to Poynton High, which would have been the third station as shown on the map. Remember the old black and white picture of Rosal Station with the chimney of the brickworks and the bridge in the background? Well, this is how that bridge looks today. The area is very different to how it was back in 1869, and as you can see from this shot taken from Google Earth, what would have been farmland back in the day is now a housing estate. The Rosal Council Estate was built in the early 1960s by Manchester City Council as part of the slum clearance project, as parts of Manchester were being cleared and redeveloped. What's the surprise down here? And this is it. All of this used to be the back of a factory. In fact, it was a gravel pit, and we used to play on here as kids, and it was very dangerous. Now, as you can see, it's an housing development. There's no trace of the factory, no trace of the gravel pit whatsoever. This is an interesting location because it's where this photograph was taken. This photograph was taken well before Middlewood Way ever existed, and it was taken, I don't know, sometime possibly in the late 70s or very early 80s. And as you can see, we just had a really bad snowstorm and the winter was very, very bad that year. But that's where this picture was taken, so it gives you some idea of what Middlewood Way used to look like. When they eventually took the track up, it was quite surprising how much of the old railway they left behind. They left behind the sleepers, a lot of the cabins were left behind that was scattered down the line, and also they left the signal poles up as well. The picture you're looking at now was taken at about this location. For some reason they'd put a fence across this part of the line to stop you walking any further. It didn't stop anybody. I walked down here lots of times, but for some reason they fenced it off. This is where this picture was taken, and this picture dates back to around about the late 1970s or the very early 1980s. I just don't have an exact date. As you can see from this recording, the trees have now grown up and it's very, very much overgrown. But if I pan around this way and I now show you this photograph, this is where this photograph was taken. I actually climbed up the embankment. The trees were not really there then and it was a clear view. And the picture is of the Goyt Mill, still with its chimney. And this picture dates back to somewhere around about the late 1970s and the early 1980s. If I pan around, you can still see it's overgrown, and that direction is going to take us, or take me to Torkington Road Bridge, which I'll talk about in a second. This is Torkington Road Bridge. It's a bridge you know really well. I used to walk along Torkington Road many years ago, from Marple to Hazel Grove, and when I used to walk this Middlewood Way before it was a walk like this, when it was just a disused railway, I used to quite often walk down to this bridge, so it's a bridge you know very well.
I've just stepped off Middlewood Way now, and what you're seeing in the picture is St Martin's Church at Marple, and also the Goyt Mill way into the distance there. If I was to turn around and face the other way, what I'm looking at in the other direction is Hazel Grove and also Stockport, and beyond that we'll be looking at Old Trafford and Manchester, but the view is a bit obscured by the height of the trees. If I now pan the camera around, that is the direction we've come from, and behind me is High Lane Station, and that's where we're going now.
So here we are, we've arrived at High Lane Station. It's taken me about 35 minutes to walk down here. That's where I've just come from, and as you can see, I'm just going to pan it round, and you can see, here we are, High Lane Station, and I am now going to go that way, through the tunnel and right along the path. Next stop will be Jackson's Brickworks. Right, it's October the 23rd now, 2023, and I've come back just to video some bits I missed when I was down here in the summer. And this is really how I remember High Lane Station. I can still remember it with the buildings intact. The station had closed by then, but I do actually remember all these buildings. In fact, I explored many of these buildings, and I remember both the platforms being there. So that was quite a long time ago.
Standing on the old platform now, it's hard to believe what the station used to be like. The first railway station in High Lane was opened in 1840 by the Manchester and Birmingham Railway. The station was originally called High Lane for Bollington, but was renamed High Lane in 1867. The line from High Lane was originally a single track, but doubled in 1871. This map from 1875 shows a double track but only a single platform. In 1873 the station was rebuilt by the Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire Railway, and it was a popular destination for day trips in the Victorian era. It was also used by commuters travelling to and from Manchester to Macclesfield. The station was closed in January 1970 as part of the beaching cuts and lay derelict for many years until it was cleared when Middlewood Way was constructed. Well, this is how I remember it, with its half-derelict buildings, sometime after the track and sleepers were removed. Well, they did say the next stop was going to be Jackson's Brickworks. Well, it's actually going to be the next station on the line, Higher Middlewood.
Between High Lane and Poynton is Middlewood Station, and that's where I am now. Just arrived here. It's only a short distance from where we've just come from, and I guess that's why Middlewood Way is called Middlewood Way, because of Higher Middlewood Station. This is how the station used to look back in the day, and as you can see, it's quite a big station, lots of stuff going on. And I can remember long time ago when I travelled this line with my mum and my brother, and we came down and we travelled down to Macclesfield on the line and stopped here. Yeah, that's how it used to look. This is how it looks now. But I guess that's why Middlewood Way is called Middlewood Way, because of this location and this station.
Well, I'm stood by the blue plaque where the station used to be. Higher Middlewood Station was opened on the 1st of April 1879 by the Manchester, Poynton and Marple Railway. The station was located in a remote location, but it was well used by passengers and freight traffic. As you can see from the pictures, compared to Rose Hill and High Lane stations, the platforms are very long. In 1951, British Railways renamed the station to Middlewood High, while the former LNWR station became Middlewood Lower. Passenger services to Middlewood High were withdrawn in 1966. The station buildings were demolished in the 1970s, and the remains of the station are now part of Middlewood Way. These pictures show the station in various states of decay, and I never walked this far along the disused track, so I never saw the disused station. Considering its remote location, it must have been idyllic to have worked on this station in the 1950s and the 1960s, watching all the passenger, freight and steam trains pass through.
Well, also attached to Middlewood Station is this, which I'm going to walk up in a minute and show you. This is now called a nature reserve, but it was the location of Middlewood Way tip, which is a council run tip, and I'm going to walk up this path in a minute and show you what it looks like now. Well, I've just walked up that path from Middlewood Way, and not far from Middlewood Higher Station as it was, and I've arrived at this, and this used to be the location of Middlewood tip, which was a council run tip. Now, I can actually remember this being in operation, and I remember the lorries coming up and down the service road, which I'll show you in a minute, and dumping enormous amounts of rubbish here. I can also remember when it closed and they started to fill this place with topsoil, and then they grassed it over. And it didn't look like this for a very long time. Everything's grown up. All the woodland around here, all the trees have now grown up. Didn't look like this at all. And I can also remember, very funny, was the methane gas burning underneath. There was a couple of places around here where the methane gas was burning, and it burned for weeks. And underneath there is probably hundreds and hundreds of tons of rubbish. Going to take you and show you some of the older buildings that I recognise that's still there in the woods that belong to the to the tip. And as try as I might, I cannot find any information at all on the internet about when this was closed or any original photographs. And I've asked around on some of the history groups as well. Can't find anything. But I'll take you further around in a minute and show you the service road, and also see if we can get into the woods and show you some of the old buildings that used to be used by the workers here. Well, surprise, surprise. Just as I finished this part of the video, I did manage to find some brief history about the tip, but unfortunately no pictures. It opened in the early 1960s to serve the growing population of Stockport and the surrounding area. It was located on the former farm, but this map, which dates back to 1912, only shows woodland on the location of the tip. The volume of waste increased rapidly over time, and by the 1970s the tip was also being used for the disposal of industrial waste. It finally closed in 1987, and steps were taken to seal it to prevent waste from the contamination of groundwater. There were also concerns about the methane gas produced by decomposing waste, which posed a fire hazard, and well, I can vouch for that. After seeing at least 2 fires burning on the surface for weeks. In 1990, the tip was designated a site of special scientific interest. Today, the Middlewood rubbish tip is a popular spot for walking and bird watching. Well, I've just walked around halfway around the tip now. It's October 2023 now. And it's been raining a lot. I think it's the 23rd of October today. You can see that the ground is pretty muddy, and the reason it's pretty muddy and wet is because there used to be a pond here. It wasn't massively big, but it was alright. It had lots of frogs and lots of newts. But it was here where the ground was burning. Just about here there was a blue flame coming out of the ground, and that blue flame stayed alight for weeks, because we used to come down here a lot, and it was alight for weeks and weeks and weeks. That was after they closed the tip and started to fill it with topsoil and grass it. This is part of the service road that used to serve Middlewood tip. This is where all the bin lorries would come up. Now, I didn't know this area very well, but my brother did. For some reason he spent a lot of time walking around here, and I knew nothing about this place. But he did explain to me, he said, if you walk past the road that takes you to the cricket club, and then walk a little bit, and you turn, you'll see the wood. And he said, all you've got to do is get into the wood and keep walking, and just walk and walk and walk. He said, you'll cross the road that takes you to the tip, climb up the embankment on the other side, I keep walking, and then you'll come to the railway. And that's exactly what I did. I can tell you now, it just rained that day, and I was absolutely soaking by the time I did the walk. But I'll show you where I eventually turned out in a minute, when I just start walking back up this road. Okay, I've walked back up the road now. Behind me is the road that takes you to the canal, which I'm going to go down in a minute to get to Poynton High. If I turn around, this was the service road that led you to the tip. It leads you down to that big field that we've just been on, and this is where the lorries, or the bin lorries, would trundle down with all the rubbish and eventually get onto the tip itself and tip the whole lot there. I can remember this, just about remember it being open. I'm going to take you into the woods across the other side in a minute and show you some of the remains of the buildings that are still there. Right, right the way across the other side of what used to be the tip, and these are the remains just in the woods of some of the buildings that belong to Middlewood tip. As you can see, they are now massively overgrown by trees, but of course it wasn't like this at all when I knew it. These were like, not offices, but there were buildings where people were, and belonged to the people who looked after the tip and ran it, belonged to the council workers. There's nothing like this at all. Very overgrown. Okay, I'm halfway down the service road now, and if I pan the camera around, this is where my brother told me to walk right through the woods and across the service road, this is what he meant. It wasn't like that then. It was really busy, and they had to dodge across this road between the lorries coming and going. Just down there, a little bit further down, it's the field. It's where the tip used to be, where we just walked from and through the woods. And when I finished walking down here, I come across the service road and then walked straight through here. And it's quite surprising that the path that I walked along is still here. Walked straight along and right down the embankment and onto the railway at the other side, and across the railway onto what used to be close to Jackson's Brickworks. And I'll go and show you that in a minute. I'll show you where I eventually came out. So we're going to continue now up that way, and that way will take us to Jackson's Brickworks, which is about, not far from down here. It's about a quarter of a mile to half a mile just down here now. I've just stepped off the path, put the steps onto the road, and I'm at the location that used to be Jackson's Brickworks. I remember this place. My brother actually remembers it being open, and workmen being there. He actually remembers the place as it was. I don't remember it, but I do remember when it closed. And I remember me and my brother coming down here many occasions and rooting around the old buildings and look what was inside. It was pretty well intact then. Eventually they pulled it all down, and it was left pretty well derelict. Had a brilliant pond on there, remember that, full of newts and full of frogs. And since then, since my gap between walking Middlewood Way and not coming up at all for about 20 years, they built this. And I have to say that further around the back built a brilliant nature reserve. So the nature reserve's really, really good. The nature walk's fantastic. This is what it looks like today. All new house in the estate, which I think is quite a few years old now. Well, if I pan the camera around now, you'll see that this used to be the location for the old spur line. We had the Rosehill to Macclesfield line, and this was a spur line that was connecting this track onto the line that went, not sure where it went between, was it Stockport and Buxton? I'm not quite sure. Used to walk down here, it didn't look like this at all. It was really overgrown, but you could get right the way down to where the track was. And I'm going to walk down there now and show you what I mean. But further down, they've just built this fantastic nature reserve. The nature reserve here is brilliant. It's a great walk all around what used to be Jackson's Brickworks. They've got ponds and they've got little waterways. It's a fantastic walk, particularly in the summer. But for now, I'm just going to walk down this spur and take you right to the end. Well, this really is the end of the line. I've just walked right the way along to the end of what used to be the spur. You have to cut off and over a stile and over a bit of a field and then through the woodland, and you eventually end up here. Now, when I used to walk down here, none of this was here. And what me and my brother used to do, we used to easily nip across the railway line and up on the embankment on the opposite side, where in the summer when it was really hot, we'd sit down, have a couple of bags of quavers and a tin of something. So that's what we used to do. But now, as you can see, totally different. Fenced off. There's some sort of possibly a walk down there, which I'm not going to go down. But certainly this, as far as Jackson's Brickworks is concerned, and the spur is the end of the line. Right, I'm back on the bridge now, and just looking down Middlewood Way, and that's the direction we're going. I'm going to head down now to Poynton High Station. Right, I've arrived at Poynton High Station, and in that direction
which would take you to Poynton, then on to Macclesfield. In this shot from Google Earth, you can clearly see the Boar's Head pub, along with the bridge leading to Nelson's Pit car park. Just to the bottom left, you can also see Poynton Marina on the Macclesfield Canal. The station was opened on the 8th of August 1869, and this map dating from 1887 shows a branch line leading to what appears to be a coal mine. You can also see the location of Nelson's Pit coal mine that is now the site of the car park. These pictures show the station in its heyday, with various trains coming and going, and you can clearly see the very long platforms before it was closed as part of the Beecham's cuts. By 1975, the station had fallen into disrepair and was looking very derelict, with its once grand platforms almost unrecognisable. By 1980, the nature had almost taken over all the old station. The station was brought back to life as part of the Middlewood Way, which opened officially in 1985 and is now a common stopping place for walkers and cyclists.
Okay, I've come through the car park now and I'm stood on the bridge just over Middlewood Way. That's Lime Road, and if you keep walking on that road and keep walking and keep walking, you eventually walk into Lime Park, and I've done that walk and it's quite a long way. If I pan the camera around, then you'll see I'm just stood over Middlewood Way, and that's going to take me back towards High Lane and then on to Rosehill Marple. If I move around to the other direction, you'll see the Boar's Head pub, and I'm just going to go down the ramp in a minute onto the station platform. Okay, I just walked through the car park and over the bridge, and this is the canal I'm on now, and in that direction is High Lane, and over there, right the way over there is Lime Park, and there is the bridge. I'm just panning across to it now, which you walk over if you want to walk into Lime Park, and like I said previously, it is a bit of a walk, it's quite a long way. But as you can see, it's really nice down here. You just pan round again, you see the really nice little houses that are here, and also the boatyard as well. So it's lovely down here. This is the last stop now. I'm going to start heading back. It's going to take me about an hour and 10 minutes to walk back. Well, as you can see by the sign, I'm at Higher Poynton now. I'm just on the station, or what used to be the station. I'm stood on the old platform. Quite surprisingly for this station, it's got a very long platform. As you can see, if I just walk out here, you'll see the length of that platform. It's quite long. So that is pretty well much the end of the walk now. This video has been shot in October 23rd. I had to come back and shoot some extra bits for this because I'd never intended making a video out of all these film clips. I just thought it might be a good idea. So I've just come back to finish this off. If I pan the camera around, you'll see the bridge that I've just been stood on, and that way takes me to Jackson's Brickworks, High Lane, and then on to Rosehill Marple. Great, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I've enjoyed making it, and like I say, it was just a whole series of different clips that I shot, but I thought I'd drop some history in and some other information as well, and I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. Thanks for watching, and see you again.
Walking from Rosehill Station to Higher Poynton is not quite the halfway point of Middlewood Way. The red dots show the walk to Poynton, which I did a while ago, but started from Poynton High Station. The walk in this video was just under 3.5 miles, but I did wander all over the place, and I reckon by the time I got back to Rosehill Station I've walked about 8 miles. Total time it took me was almost bang on 4 hours.